Good evening, race fans, and welcome to our coverage of PCA Sim Racing Series 9. Tonight is Challenge Class Event 3, live here on Podium Esports. I'm Rachel Wyford, and with me in the booth tonight is Taylor Burris. Ryan Bauer is producing this evening using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Series 9 emphasizes driver patience and racecraft skill with intense traffic management. Before we get to the more open circuits, drivers' focus is taken to the limits and one of the few street layouts available in iRacing. Prix is back as the PCA Sim Racing title sponsor for Series 9. Prix was founded in Milan in 1872 and today stands as a global brand known for its cutting-edge technology, high-end production, excellence, and passion for innovation that draws heavily on its Italian roots. Prix is among the world's major producers of tyres and is an OEM supplier to Porsche. Find out more about Pirelli at www.pirelli.com. Six Sigma Sim Racing, that's a mouthful, was founded in 2021 by automotive engineers as a new sim racing equipment provider. After 1 year, Six Sigma now has divisions in the USA, Japan, Australia, and Europe, providing best valued sim racing cockpits and peripherals. As a PCA member or sim racing driver, Six Sigma offers 10% off from the website selections and the coupon code is PCA Sim. More information about Six Sigma Sim Racing, please visit their website at, surprisingly enough, sixsigmasimracing.com. Welcome to Belle Isle, Detroit. We're out here at this beautiful street circuit on a quite tight little island. It's going to make things very difficult for our drivers today, and I do believe, Taylor, you have a bit of information for us on this track.
Yeah, this is a beautiful circuit here, just located just around outside the city of Detroit. Provides some great racing action. As a matter of fact, we're going to take you for a lap here with Scott Bowers from the Northeast region in the 917. As they head down Central Avenue, they're going to make that long 90-degree corner as they head down into the Fleming Straight. Fleming Straight is going to provide some great opportunities as they make their way into that second major braking zone, heading off into the Loiter Way. Loiter Way is a good opportunity to make some passing, but with the tight corners as you make that long sweeping corner down Picnic Way, you have to be careful of setting up your apex and watching out for that wall as they come out of that corner, as we just saw there with Robert Benson. Meanwhile, as they make their way through the long back straightaway of the Strand, where they will try to find some opportunities to utilize some slipstream, setting up some good passing opportunities before having to get hard onto the braking zone just as they come up to this little kink right here underneath the Corvette Bridge, hit the braking zone, and you're now approaching the most famous section of all of Detroit Belle Isle, the Fountain section of the circuit. This circuit provides a little bit of careful driving capabilities because you got to watch out for those curves as you make your way out of the Fountain section. Coming through here, you're gonna have to get on the binders really quick as you make the short little cut as you make that turn heading through the short chute and over towards Sunset Drive. This little short straightaway will open up an opportunity for some drivers to make some late race passing as they make their way underneath the Motor City Bridge. As they come out, they're now approaching Sunset Drive, which offers a great opportunity to make the run down this back half of the course, heading on over into Casino Way as we see one of them pull off the circuit. As we watch their way through, you'll then make your way through that long sweeping corner across the start-finish line and start another lap here around the circuit.
A fantastic track here. This 14-turn, 2.35-mile circuit is, of course, a street layout giving you unique challenges, as you can see from those onboard laps. A very, very, very little runoff. These drivers have to be incredibly careful tonight. They do have one fast repair. Don't forget our format for the Challenge Series this season. One 15-minute heat race, which will set our grid for the 40-minute feature race. They're on 50% fuel, which means they will have to make a stop during that feature, Taylor, which adds to the strategy.
It really does, and it opens up the door to where you can maybe consider pitting early in the race. So we could see some drivers pitting within 10 minutes of the race starting. We may see some drivers who may wait till the halfway point or getting to the very urge of coming down pit road where it's absolutely necessary, where they have to pit and try to get a little bit as late as possible. So it all depends on how these drivers come out with playing. We'll see how this first qualifying heat race goes for our drivers.
Don't forget, folks, if you want to check it out, PCA Sim Racing social media offers in-race reports, breaking news and announcements through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. To subscribe, key in the platform name and add /PCA Sim Racing, and you can find all of their social media platforms. Go check that out. We've got our qualifying up on the run here. Todd Roseman takes the pole for the heat, with Mark Frost in second. Scott Bowers in third. Fourth is John Gibson. Andrew Smiling in fifth. Drew Kenny sixth. Michael Adams in seventh. Alex Lidbeck in eighth. Randy Levold in ninth. Eric Kaufman in 10th place, with 11th place being Johan Nye and David Purdy in 12th. Taylor?
It's going to be Edward Trippett in 13th with Jeff Lashway 14th. Tom Crane in the 15th position with Olin Murphy in 16th. 17th will be Jason Sherwood with Stacey Iwata in 18th. Jack Stephenson will be in 19th with Robert Benson in 20th. And then rounding out your field, Art Schwartz in 21st, Andy McCune, and Tim Sharrock, and DJ Sell rounding out your 24-car field.
Getting ready to go now. We'll have a rolling start here tonight. So we'll get a full lap under the pace car of Detroit. And you can already see how narrow this circuit is, Taylor. These guys are going to have to be incredibly aware. The whole point of this season, of course, is driver awareness and traffic management, and I don't think there's more of a challenge than this circuit unless they stuffed them at Monaco.
I have to say,
exist.
It certainly doesn't currently on the iRacing service, and if you think about it, this circuit will not be raced ever again now in the world of the real world racing, whether it be IMSA or the IRL. So this opens a great opportunity to be having the history of racing at Belle Isle saved on the iRacing platform.
We're starting, sorry.
See as this racing action at.
Green flag flies. Actually, we didn't get the full pace lap. We just had a short section, and it's already 3 wide at the front. And that's Bowers, Gibson, and Smiley. And one goes round, crashing initially in turn number 1. And that's going to be the second place car who, well, tried to go upside the inside of your race leader. That was the 917 of Bowers. And he ends up getting dumped around by some of the cars behind, not their fault. And we've got issues already as we lose another car.
And then as that happens now, as we see Todd Rosman and Drew Kenny will battle for the race lead as Kenny moves up to take over the race lead as they come out of that back half of the course, coming over towards Picnic Way.
I suppose one of the benefits of getting that crash out of the way in turn 1, lap 1, is you can get out of pit road without fast repair pretty quickly, and they'll need that, as this is definitely a tough circuit. Do not mince my words here. This is going to be a track. We'll have some crashes. It's not the drivers, it's just the lack of room. It is a fist fight at a phone booth is probably the best way to describe this circuit. As second place on the grid, Frost already on pit road, as is Bowers, as is Gibson. So that's second, third, and fourth already on pit road. Roseman, he's already under challenge here at the front. The 2 gets through. Drew Kenny to the lead.
And also a close call for Andrew Smiley on the 167. Nearly just barreled it into the tire barriers as they approached that back half of the course. But Drew Kenny takes over the race lead here. He now stretched out to a 1-second lead over Todd Rosman in the 6 machine. Michael Adams rounding out your top 3 as they come out to complete lap number 1.
Absolutely is. And this first lap is a big one. This has given us the separation that I think a lot of these drivers really hoped for. At this stage, it gives you some breathing room to really set your lines and run the lap here. And we've got a lot of spreading out throughout this field, so it may well be that every subsequent lap is significantly cleaner. Unfortunately, those guys had to tow. They are waiting for that, unfortunately. Just had a pass with, I believe, Iwata. Gets his way through there on Jack Stevenson. Looking on board here with Michael Adams. We've got his onboard camera there. Monitor. No, I thought the monitor was shaking. It's just the car. Very bumpy circuit here at Detroit. It is an old surface, isn't it, Taylor?
It really is. I mean, this track is located in the middle of one of Detroit's beautiful parks here on Belle Isle. And, of course, with the weathering of the roads, and, of course, they're dealing with the snow, the salt, all the ice that it has to go through here up in the cold Detroit Motor City, you expect to see the tear and crumbling of some of these streets, and of course it's just going to make it difficult for how the car will have to deal with these bumps. And given the fact that these cars are very importantly with how they have to be planted on these racing surfaces to get the aerodynamics that they need in order to race properly, it makes it very difficult for handling around this circuit, given the fact of how degraded these tracks can be, given the fact with street racing.
Do the names Central Avenue, Strand Drive, Sunset Drive seem familiar? Yeah, because that's what we're racing on. These are public streets that form this street circuit, and they see slightly different action most of the year. But looking on board here at some of the guys, or looking at some of the guys I should say, on board Todd Rosman there in second place, looking forward towards Kenny. I'm not sure if he's been passed by Adams. I think he hasn't. He has. Sorry, yes, he's been passed by Adams, I believe, there.
Adams is still behind in the third position right now. He's about 1.3 seconds. There you see him on your screen as we see Todd Rosman and Drew Kenny working by some lap traffic. That was John Gibson in the 911 machine, that vibrant and rainbow-colored machine as we see him. And now they're working their way around a couple of other cars as they work their way through. As actually few as they come to the inside, heading underneath the Corvette Bridge.
Yeah, indeed. Lap traffic already playing a factor in this short race. We are 6 minutes elapsed, or 5 minutes elapsed of a 15-minute race, 1/3 down, and it's already getting busy. Andrew Smiley there, 6th place, on board with him. The Connecticut Valley region driver started 5th. He's trying to get that spot back here, looking towards Edward Trippett and Randy Levold just ahead of him. In the window here to actually make some moves, Taylor, I think, and it's going to be important to start well. But, as the start of this race showed us, the big one can happen anywhere in the field, even at the front at Detroit.
Yeah, we saw that happening on lap 1, turn 1, as we saw here today, the big one happening. Multiple cars involved in that one. As we watch the battle here happening, as we see Todd Rosman is closing in on the back bumper of Drew Kenny. As we see them slice their way through the back half of the course, approaching out of that long corner. We've seen a lot of things happen here. You got to be careful with that bump because the car can get a little bit loose on the back end of the car. You can easily loop that car around and into one of those barriers as they make their way through. Here's Jack Stevenson from the Chicago region making his way through in 14th, trying to climb his way, getting around the 7 of Stacy Iwata. He'll try to show the nose as they enter into the braking zone. Not close enough, though, to make anything happen this time around. Chicago region driver going to be very familiar with these kind of roads. Chicago has more potholes than they have manhole covers. But no, at the moment, Drew Kenny is getting his way along here, and Roseman in 2nd place, Adams 3rd, Randy Levold in the 4th spot. Looking back there from the rear wing of Kenny, the Northeast region driver started 6th place. He's had a big jump here. Now, we talk about turn 1, lap 1 being a problem, and it can happen anywhere, Taylor. The number of IndyCar races where I've seen starts and restarts, and there's been a crash in turn 1 or turn 2, lap 1. It happens to the real guys too. It's nothing to do with just sim racing. This track is hard. I mean, even it's been known to take out pace car drivers too, so this track is very unforgiving. Absolutely is. I just love watching IndyCars actually coming out of pit road here on cold tires after a start, but it is scary. But we'll go back to the Porsches, which is far more important here, of course. Roseman there in 2nd place, really looking to try and catch up here. The gap is not very big, but unfortunately it is going to be still too much for Roseman. He wants to recover that spot, but lap traffic may well be his only opportunity. They're starting to close in on more of that as they come down onto Central Avenue here. He's going to have to work that traffic to take the advantage on Kenny. And that's a good opportunity for Roseman to utilize the lap traffic here because it could often be used as a pick to make your way through, and especially with how tight these corners are. If you are able to place your car in a way where the leader has to make a different, more not the normal line around the circuit, this could be the way for you to maybe go and have a shot at taking over the race lead or gaining a position depending on where you catch lap traffic and what position you're in as they work underneath that Corvette Bridge, heading over the Auto Trader Bridge to the Fountain section of the course. This long sweeping double corners here, and it's a good way to set yourselves up for this section before you have to get onto the binders in this quick little kink right here. We see now Todd Rosman trying to find it, but he's just about a car length back. Can't really make a pass just yet. He's got to get a little closer, and I think he's got to be a little more comfortable with that as he's starting to put the pressure on Kenny. He is starting to put that pressure on. You can see how close he's getting to the rear bumper of that number 2. And, well, 2nd place wants the 2. Feel pretty awkward here, and there's traffic ahead. Not a lot, but there is some. Now, mind games play a big role, of course, in making a pass, and this is the kind of place where you absolutely can apply them incredibly effectively. As they come back to the start-finish line here yet again. Just about touching a halfway point in this first heat race, and it is anybody's game, but big movers so far. Edward Trippett, 13th place to 5th right now. We also have Johan Knife from 11th to 7th. And otherwise, it's going to be Jason Sherwood, 17th to 10th. So some guys have moved up the track here pretty well. I'd say none more than Trippett, perhaps. He could be a threat in the final race. He certainly can be, and that's going to be one driver to watch as we progress for the later stages of tonight's race. But yeah, Trippett is definitely one of your biggest movers so far. Also, Andy McCune, he's picked up quite a bit of spots after starting in 22nd, as we have a pass happening here for the lead, possibly.
Not a pass, but the first crack in the armor of Drew Kenny. He wiggled in the turn 5 just there as they were heading down towards Strand. And it might be the weakness that Todd Roseman was looking for as he looks to the outside here as they approach 7. Turning into the bus stop here. I think this still qualifies as a bus stop, doesn't it, Taylor?
A little bit of a bus stop. Not
it's a coach stop. It's pretty big.
It's a close one. Maybe a taxi stop.
Greyhound stop. It's pretty huge. Looks like a bus stop, but bigger. Either way, we'll move forward from this terrible analogy. But it's definitely the weakness I think he was hoping to see at this point. He's not made anything happen yet, but we're starting to see bobbles. That could be a sign that he's feeling the pressure. A bus terminal would have been suggested by our producer. Yeah, there we go. So rather than a bus stop, it's the bus terminal, or bus depot. There we go. The concourse, yes. Oh, like traffic passing ahead. Now, I did mention those drivers' names who would be a threat. 3 I did not mention. Mark Frost, Scott Bowers, and John Gibson. Not to discount either Alex Lindback, who started in 8th place. Those 4 cars out at the start of this thing. I mean, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in qualifying got taken out lap 1, turn 1. So, they're going to be moving through this field fairly rapidly. That will be something to really pay attention to. Although, hopefully safer than this time.
It's certainly going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on here as we're going a little bit further back, watching Art Schwartz getting around Andy McCune for the 14th spot. But here comes McCune trying to cross him over. Not going to work quite yet this time, but he will set himself set up for another passing opportunity as they head underneath the Firestone Bridge and work their way through. A great pass, though, that Schwartz was able to do on McCune.
It certainly will be. Now, we're starting to get a little bit more significant lap traffic ahead of Kenny. This is where we'll see, hopefully, an advantage for Todd Roseman at the moment. That will be, a lap car spun around there. That's a difficult one for them. One to definitely keep an eye on here. You don't want to get into trouble with that. As Bowers actually picked up a black flag for that incident at the start of lap 1, so the 3rd place driver will not be going through the field as quickly as perhaps he would have liked in the future race. And we have 5 laps remaining. There's 4 minutes of this very short lap here, 1 minute 27 ballpark average lap. And it's going to be very tricky. In fact, actually, interesting thing here, the only person, I believe, to put it in, the only person to put it in the 127s was Todd Roseman. A 127.8 for him. 2nd place, Mark Frost, was a 28.2. He is 4 tenths faster than anybody else on this track. Until you end up in traffic, of course, which is where he really has to use that to beat Drew Kenny here to secure that spot again. He really needs the points.
Trouble for Andy McCune. He loops it and bends it into the barriers, unfortunately for him, as his night might be done for the heat race as we go on board with Todd Roseman once again, trying to find that little bit of niche in the armor to see if he can get around and get some much valuable points after this heat race here. As he gets a good run out of there, but not able to make it work, just barely scoots by that concrete barrier.
Speaking of Arizona, I know it's New Mexico, but are we calling him Roseman as in Roswell, or are we calling him Roseman?
I like Roseman better.
There we go. We'll go with Roseman until corrected. It's a much more exciting name. But Drew Kenny has to really keep this one under control. I think we'll be looking at 3 to go here as we come round now. Hopefully no aliens involved in the end of this race. Problematic. But Roseman now less than a tenth away from the current leader of this race. And looking at the inside really sharply, doesn't go for it, but he puts the nose there. He knows now is about the time he has to start thinking about a move.
He really does, and this could be a great opportunity through some of these tight sections of the course as they come out of Picnic Way, heading over towards the back half of the course here. You'll see Roseman pick up some pace right here. He's a lot better on corner entry than our race leader, Drew Kenny. Kenny thinks about trying to get better off corner exit, while Roseman thinks about trying to get in their corner entry, which both of them are very smart moves to try and do here, but it's just a matter of placing your car in the right position and be defensive about it. As we see Roseman trying to make his way through the fountain section to open up the door and get around Drew Kenny for the race to lead.
He's going to have to do it very soon. He's got very few laps to go here. There'll be 2 to go at the line, I believe, and that's not going to be a ton of racing room. Actually, no, I think it'll be less than 2 to go at the line. It may be 1 to go, depending on what we see with the clocks here. The clock's not looking hopeful that we'll see enough time left. I don't think we will. I think it'll be 1 to go. I think the clock will tick to 0 as they go by this time. So this is where you make the money. This is where you bake the cookies. Gotta get it done here. Now is the time for Todd Roseman to move here. Kenny has to feel very nervous at the moment. No other battles currently on the track between cars. Actually, there is one that is believed to be Ola Murphy and Jeff Lashway, but they've just separated out here. We'll stick with the lead battle as we go. Onto Central Avenue here. We'll turn down to 4. Long curving right that leads him into 5.
Oh, here we go. Rosman has an opportunity, gets a little bit of a nudge right there as he tries to get himself situated, but hits the outside wall just a tad. That's going to cause him to lose a little bit of the aerodynamics here around the circuit as they make their way towards that back half of the course, but really a good opportunity to try to get his way around as they work over towards the back half of the course, through the strand and heading into the fountain section of the course. He's going to try to see what he can do. Makes a little contact again to the back bumper.
This ain't NASCAR. Bump and run ain't going to work here. That is not in a good way that the race control will frown at you rather sternly and send you to the back of the pack, but it works in theory. Oh, it is great entertainment, but here we go to the final run. I believe we've had a white flag. I need confirmation on that, but this will be them coming to... Oh, no, it might actually be that tight. Yeah, coming to check it here. Drew Kenny is going to hold on after a big charge from Roseman, and we'll take the heat race here at Belle Isle. Third place, Michael Adams coming across the track there with Randy Lavold coming across too. Edward Trippett crosses the line in just a moment's time with Smiley right behind him. No place to change between those two, but 5th place from 13th for Trippett. Some big movement in this race. Well, Taylor, has this been indicative of what we're going to see in our feature race today?
I think it's safe to say this is what we're going to see in our feature races all throughout this racing action here today. And we'll see some drivers get some separation through the others. And then, of course, we'll also see some drivers having some great battles in and amongst the rest of the field. So we'll keep an eye on those battles as we get ready for our feature race here tonight.
We absolutely will. Well, I believe we're going to go to a quick break before we come back with your results and the start of the feature.
Brake a little earlier if that's going to be the case. He's actually got a nose ahead as they come down into the braking zone. He's going to do it the hard way.
Welcome back to Belle Isle, Detroit here, and PCA Sim Racing Series 9's challenge event here. Post-race results for your heat are as follows. Drew Kenny takes the win with Todd Rosman right behind him, 0.09 seconds there. Michael Adams 3rd, Randy Lavold in 4th, Edward Trippett 5th, Andrew Smiley 6th, Johan Nye in 7th, Tom Crane in 8th with David Purdy 9th, Jason Sherwood 10th, and 11th place will be Ola Murphy with Jeff Lashway in 12th.
13th will be Eric Kaufman, followed by Art Schwartz in 14th. 15th, Tim Sherrock with Andy McCune 16th. 17th, Robert Benson. John Gibson rounding out your 18 cars that finish on the lead lap. The first car is one lap down will be Mark Frost and Stacy Awada rounding out your top 20. DJ Sell, Scott Bowers, Alex Lidback, and Jack Stevenson rounding out the rest of the field in 24th.
Well, folks, that isn't only our post-race results for the heat, that is also our grid order for the main race here today. Now, this is going to be a tricky one. We have 40 minutes and there will be a pit stop here. These guys are going to have to manage this race carefully. The start has taught us one thing, Taylor. Be careful from the drop of that flag.
You really do, and this is going to be critical to see what they have learned from the start of this race here. Will drivers be able to take it easy into turn one, or will we see a repeat of the heat race that we just saw? So we'll keep an eye to see if anyone learns anything, keep an eye to see if anyone is able to maybe make some adjustments in their driving around this circuit, or we'll find out if anyone did not learn anything and just continues racing as planned and go for a win or a podium for the feature race.
We absolutely will, and we'll find out exactly what will occur in just a few moments' time. But for now, it's going to still be a waiting game to decide if Drew Kenny can hold off Rosman for 40 minutes. 15 minutes was doable, but it looked close there at the end, I've got to say.
Really is close indeed here. As we keep an eye on the rest of the field here, or the warm-up is about to finish up here, about another minute and a half.
It absolutely is. They've got that warm-up to deal with, and whilst we cover that, in fact, we're going to mention to you just another way they might also be improving their performance on track. Driving technique, car setup, and telemetry analysis. These are just a few of the things you need to squeeze every last tenth out of your lap time. Join our very own physicist Nicky Chan, who you may know from his P4 finish in last season's Pro Class, as he explains all this and more in scientific, easily digestible YouTube videos at lasttenth.com. Watch today so that you can enjoy squeezing every last tenth off your lap time and beat those personal bests. Last tenth. Better car, better driver. Don't forget, folks, you can also hit up PCA Sim Racing's social media, and they offer in-race reports, breaking news, and announcements through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. To subscribe, key in the platform name and add /PCA Sim Racing to find their relevant pages. You can track all the goings on there, and in fact, if you're watching this broadcast, you found at least one of them, so congratulations.
Congratulations indeed, as we're getting ready to see how the action will kick off here for our feature race. 40 minutes, or about 45 laps, and we'll see which comes first.
Absolutely will. Now, of course, one thing that will be really important in this feature, I think here, Taylor, is with traffic being an issue, with it being very tight, pit exit dumps you into the exit of turn 2. This is an issue.
This is very much an issue. We'll have to see how drivers are going to be able to negotiate that. I saw a couple of drivers during the warm-up and practicing their pit entry to see if they're able to get down pit road without any issues. So we'll see if that works out for your competitors.
We certainly will, and that will be an important one to pay attention to. So we'll have to see if they can actually manage to do this one very cleanly and safely, which will be the ideal circumstance here, but we'll have to see what will occur from this one. We know there's going to be a black flag for Bowers, which will serve in this race. That will be one he has to take care of, so we'll get ourselves on our back straight here. We're at the end of the Strand, or Strand Drive. I want to call it the Strand, but that's not the correct one. It's Strand Drive. As we get ready here for the final 3 corners onto Sunset, and then we turn onto the front straight and get ready for our start. And that first dive into 1 and 2, probably one of the weirdest starts in all motor racing. It's immediately into 2 slow speed long corners, which will definitely make it a challenge.
Certainly is going to make it a challenge indeed here as we go through the course of the starting grid, which we just went over, which was the finishing results from the heat race that just attained, as we see one of the hardest working men in iRacing, Benny the pace car driver behind that beautiful Porsche, getting ready to lead all the rest of the Porsches over to Barney the Flagman.
Certainly will. They got themselves rolling here, and this is the start of tonight's wonderful events. Let's crank it up and get going here at Belle Isle. Detroit Motor City will ring with the sound of Porsche engines, as the pace car will lead us to the line for what we hope is a lot cleaner start than last time.
I absolutely agree with you on that.
Here we go. Green flag, green flag, green flag. We're away now. And there's a big start there by the number 2 machine of Kenny, getting himself out front early. But Rosman does not want this to be over. He goes to the inside. It'll be side by side in turn 2, but he loses that spot to Kenny. Kenny will maintain first place. Behind them, everything's staying clean as everyone filters through. This time, no issues in turn 1 and 2. Thank gosh. As they head into now turn 3. Sharp right down towards 4. Another sharp into 5. Another sharp corner. Is all jagged corners here at Belle Isle. Not conducive to, well, sports car racing really. Is a tough circuit for them, and no runoff either. Getting themselves through. Everyone staying clean. The gap being fairly small between Rosman and Kenny. Further back, we're seeing a little bit of separation. We saw that last time very quickly. The field really spread out. Oh, got an incident further back in 5. I think that was a solo incident. A little bit further back in your field, that might have been around Benson or McCune. I believe it might have been Benson. It was the 16 who just lost it on his own there going into 5. That's Alex Lidback. Of course, he'd been up in 8th, of course, at the heat race. Lost it and got clipped as he spun out. Unfortunate there, but not anyone's fault in that case, as far as we can tell. Drew Kenny really holding on to this one at the moment. There's going to be a lot of pressure here on Rosman to beat him, I think, in this race.
It certainly is, as we get ready to watch more action here as we're riding on board with second place driver Todd Rosman, who's trying to find his way around Drew Kenny. He could have this opportunity to take over the race lead, but he's got to get a little bit closer in that number 6 Porsche, as he'll look to the inside, but not close enough to make anything happen.
No, not yet at all, so we have to be very cautious, but still plenty of room to do this one. Got to keep it careful, and the race will be absolutely fine for them, but managing time, managing tyres, and that's another thing we didn't talk about in the heat. They weren't a factor in 15 minutes. Tyres could be a factor here. It's an abrasive track. We talked about that. There's a lot of sidewall pressure on the tyres, Taylor, from all the sharp corners.
It really is a way we have to think about. Could we see some drivers take some fresh set of tires here around this circuit when they come in for their pit stops? Or do they decide, let's take care of their tires, especially if they are in a bit of a gap over their competitors, and be able to work their way up through the field, realizing that others have to come down pit road later on in this run to make some fuel adjustments, or even get, of course, down into the late stages of the race. We could see drivers take a less amount of fuel instead of filling it up all the way.
Yeah, I think that's an important consideration, is when do you take that fuel? How do you take the fuel? Obviously, I don't think they'll be taking tyres, but they are very worth actually saving on the car. We have retirements for DJ Cell, the 071, and Robert Benson has been black flagged for an incident at 210. I'm pretty sure as he was around the 16, that's going to be involving Lidback. Maybe it wasn't a solo getting loose, maybe it was a little bit of contact that we didn't see. But race control saw something and have made a decision. 010 in 9th place, David Purdy there, the Peach State Region driver. Started 9th, he's running in 9th. You could say he's sitting Purdy.
He's
sitting
Purdy.
Never do that again.
Oh, come on. Well, he is sitting pretty indeed as he tries to get up a little bit further through the field right now. He's about 0.4 of a second behind Tom Crane in the 8th position. He's trying to hold off Jason Sherwood in rounding out the top 10. He's about 6-second lead over that position as he tries to find the opening and work his way through in that beautiful yellow and black 010 machine.
Yeah, very much so. Trying to keep his spot there and move forward as well. Tom Crane just ahead of him there to work on, so one to go for. Trippett holding 5th right now. He's going to see if he can move forwards. He's looking towards Laval just ahead of him in 4th spot. See if he can move himself up the running order here. Rosman still very much glued to the back here. Drew Kenny at the lead of this race. He's not letting go. He's got an extra grind here, and he's going to be sharpening it on the diffuser of Drew Kenny, I think.
He really is trying to get all over the back bumper of Drew Kenny as we watch the rest of the field work their way down over towards the back half of the course. They're making their way through as we pick up our race leaders coming into turn 1. Big center right there. He tries to get onto the back bumper of that Porsche.
Yeah, he absolutely does. That's one to make sure they do not mess up here. But not really close enough to do anything with it, I'd say, Taylor. Gap is just a bit on the significant side. Not really going to allow for any kind of move here. Also worth keeping an eye on Smiley and Johan Nye. 6th and 7th place there. Those two pretty close together. You can see them here. Then Valley Region driver Andrew Smiley there. Looking for an opportunity to try and get past Nye. Will he be Johan Nye, the fast guy? You can only hope.
Well, speed rules indeed as we watch them work their way through underneath the Pure Michigan Bridge and working their way out towards that long sweeping corner. As they approach towards that tight hairpin here, we'll also see one of the number 18 machine, of course, driver Olin Murphy, who is having a good run as Todd Rosman has some trouble. He's around in the grass over by the fountain section. He's dropping multiple positions.
Yeah, unfortunately, he appears to be. He just lost that one. Oh, gosh, that is bad for Rosman. We're going to get a replay of what happened to him. This is big for Drew Kenny, of course. Everyone else is 3.1 seconds back. Coming through now on the replay. Oh, the back end stepped. He pushed too hard. Oh, the EMS machine there. Mad Medic Racing just dumped it sideways, just lost traction. Safely sits there and waits for a chance to pull out again. Oh, that has to be heartbreaking. Just watching car after car after car after car after car coming through there without any real opportunity to rejoin. This has to be heartbreaking for him, but he has got time at least to try and work this back. We have at least only 7 minutes in the books.
Certainly has a few bit of time left on the clock, but he's got to make sure he can pull off some strategy in order to do so. As we ride on board with Jason Sherwood in the 9th position and gets themselves ready to go here as they work their way out of that tight 90-degree corner and make their way over towards Picnic Way.
Absolutely do there, and getting themselves going here. Trying to manage the space here. We've not had any major incidents so far. Mostly small issues on track. Just keeping it relatively clean. Bowers here in 15th place. Was looking at myself. Iwata ahead of him there. Behind them it's Mark Frost. Trying to recover after his incident, of course. He's only gained 3 spots so far from 19th on the grid. And long mountain to climb for a guy who started in 2nd in the heat.
Long way to start here indeed as we watch them work their way through. We're going to ride on board with Jason Sherwood from the Diablo region. As that number 21 Porsche trying to hunt his way to the back bumper of David Purdy as he continues to do battle here in the Motor City. David Purdy, the Peach State region driver, one of the longest standing clubs to compete on the world of iRacing. As we see a couple of other drivers making their way up through the field right here. As we see them heading over into turns 1 and 2, we ride back on board with Olan Murphy. As we saw right there, Sherwood getting very close, a little too close for comfort to that concrete barrier.
Very much so not where you want to be putting that vehicle. Going to put you into a really difficult spot you don't want to be able to climb out of. But he is running well so far. Keep it away from the wall. You'll have typically a good race at somewhere like Belle Isle. Same goes for the street circuits, of course, like Long Beach, which will bite you so easily, just like this track.
It really can, but I have to say Detroit is probably a little bit more unforgiving, though, than the Long Beach circuit, I would have to say.
Yeah, I'd agree so. I think of the options out there, it is definitely the one that is on the more exciting side.
I have to agree as we go back on board with David Purdy, who's trying to get around Tom Crane as they work their way through the fountain section of the course. Really great passing opportunities through the fountain if you are able to time it just about right for your driver. As they work, you take a little bit of a wider arc. This opens the door for Sherwood to close in a little bit closer as this battle for the top 10 ranges from the driver of Tom Crane all the way, I have to say, just about John Gibson in 13th. So this could be a very interesting battle.
Could be huge for them, so we'll keep our eyes on that one as the race goes onwards here. But got one heading to pit road already. That was Kaufman. Kaufman has chosen to pit early here. Must be the start of this window. He's coming down now. Interesting decision.
Very interesting position for Kaufman along with...
Oh, he's got big rear damage.
Oh,
that might be that.
That might be...
Oh, there's another car in.
Yep, Todd Rosman also coming down pit road.
Well, he's in the window, so it might be a good idea to get that fuel now and just run clean to the end of this thing. You never know what will happen.
Certainly is a good opportunity indeed here as we watch them work their way through. We go back to that battle for the 7th position between Crane and Purdy. No change up in the front of the field for Drew Kenny. He has a 5.5-second lead over Michael Adams.
He does, and right now that is a humongous lead at a track like this. Clean track for now, working his way towards lap traffic, of course, as we have just under 30 minutes remaining in this feature race. 1 quarter down, and so much has changed already. The biggest competitor to Drew Kenny is right towards the rear here after an incident on his own a couple of laps ago. Our guys who had incidents in the heat race have not recovered as much as we thought they might, which is a bit of a problem for them. The highest of those guys is John Gibson. He's in the 12th spot from 4th on the grid in the heat and 18th in this race. Willow Murphy there in 10th place after 11th tonight. Murphy was 16th on the grid of the heat, so he's just improving throughout this thing solidly, plodding along and getting it done, which is often the best thing to do in racing. Michael Adams is in 2nd place though. He's was I think 7th in the heat, finished 3rd, now is 2nd. He's gained another 1 there. We've got the onboard from him in his sim rig there. Great to see the drivers' cameras here during these races. It really adds to the fact these guys are really putting the work in. Pretty sure that's a direct drive wheel, and I think you can see it shaking his sim rig as he hits the bumps around this place. It is not remotely smooth.
It is certainly not a whole lot of room indeed, but of course Michael Adams putting on a great run, running in 2nd place. Gotta say, beautiful job he's doing. We're watching the foot action that he's trying to make sure he hits his marks around the circuit. Really shows the amount of focus you have to do, and as he saws on the wheel of that Porsche, he will get around the fountain section beautifully as he just cranks on that wheel. Of course, with that direct drive, you got to put a lot more emphasis in it.
You really, really do, and it's going to bite you back a little bit more. In fact, it was only, wow, a while ago that iRacing actually added that, the brake almost in feedback in the sim, whereby with the advent of direct drive wheels becoming so much more common, people are actually getting hand injuries, of course, because the feedback from a crash is hard. The wheel will whip on you. So iRacing actually countered that and protected people by actually building in a delay to the feedback there, so you're not going to get that impact as the car hits, which means the wheel's not going to react in your hands, so you can theoretically just keep hold of it. But I don't know about you, Taylor, but I've always been the let go when I know I'm going into the wall.
Yeah, sometimes it's best to do that, and sometimes we see drivers let go of the wheel to see if the car can correct itself, and it's a 50-50 chance that it might work, it might not work. We've seen it happen in the real world, and sometimes we've seen it in the sim racing world.
Yeah, we certainly do. And well, coming now on to what is going to be lap 9 here in a moment for Drew Kenny. Lap 10, I'm sorry to say, in a moment. It has been a very busy race so far, nearly 6 seconds on the books over Michael Adams. His last lap was at 128.634 and 129.3 for Adams. That is just under, well, it's about 0.7 of a second a lap. That is pretty significant, I think, at the moment. Drew Kenny just has to focus here on a smooth race, and he has this thing tied up at the moment.
He certainly does here, as we are closing in on about, I'd say, a little over a quarter of distance completed here for our drivers, as John Gibson in the Rally Sports region in his 911 is having a little bit of a better run compared to his last run, as he's running inside the top 15, trying to find an opening to get around Jeff Lashway and Jason Sherwood to break into the top 10.
Yeah, he really is at the moment. Jeff Lashway working on that one at the moment. Oh, it's getting congested down around Lashway. Just behind him there, Gibson, Owata, and Stevenson getting very, very touchy-feely. Just in the final corner there on Strand, turn 12. But be careful, if incidents can still happen this far into the race here, as these guys try to manage what they're doing at the moment with the action on track. And we've got a bit of a slowdown there by Lashway, meaning I think Gibson's going to take advantage here up towards turn 3. Will he be able to hang this around the outside and take that spot? He's ahead before the braking zone. Lashway lets him do it, and we'll see him go up to 11th. Lashway down to 12th.
See what he does is they work their way over towards the back half of the course now as we ride on board with Scott Bowers. Not having the run that he's been hoping to have here compared to what we saw last time out where he picked up the win, but unfortunately for him, he will have to try to see what he can do here in this race, but still a lot of work left for him to go as we still have plenty of time on the clock.
very much, as right now that gap is 6.6 seconds for your leader. Absolutely huge. Looking at Art Schwartz looking back here. 16th place, Potomac Region driver. Looking after towards Scott Bowers there, who has started in third. In fact, behind him, Mark Frost. We're seeing Bowers there making a move on the 82 machine of Schwartz. Frost also looking for an opportunity to move there as well, as through the field they'll come. And the 917 looking for another chance here. Bowers wants to make this move on Tim Schrock as well. Somebody wants to get somewhere in a hurry.
He certainly does, as we see some more drivers make their way down pit road. Oh, Alex Lidback and Olin Murphy have made their way through, as they're going to be starting their pit stop cycle. Scott Bowers, though, is one of the first drivers to make their pit stop. He is starting to make some great progress after that, as we ride on board with John Gibson, as he is trying to stay inside the top 10 and continue on his charge through the field. But we still have to throw in the factor that pit stops will be happening here within the next possible 4 to 5 laps for some drivers.
Yeah, they surely will there, as we've already seen that pit window has opened, so it's definitely within a position where we'll see this sort of thing occurring. I think any time from now, really.
Seeing what happens here as we watch the field of drivers continue to make progress through the field, as we watch on and wait, seeing who else will make their run down into pit road. Keep an eye on some of our leaders as we pick up, I believe, that is the 911 of John Gibson, who is now putting the pressure on Jason Sherwood.
Yeah, very much so, as right now it's still a matter of keeping this race under control, tight control in fact, because mistakes can very much happen still. Kenny's 8 seconds, my gosh, that just climbs with every single lap that passes us. He's going to reach the back of this pack very quickly, I think, at the moment.
He certainly is making some great time and great headway here. He just landed one of his best laps, a 127.97 on the early stages, as we ride on board with Stacy Iwata, as he is trying to work his way into the top 10, trying to get around Sherwood, Lashway, and Gibson.
Definitely is, and well, right now, Todd Rosman is back in 18th. He's fighting with Mark Frost there. In fact, him, Frost, and Bowers are in roughly the same part of the track here. Right now, Rosman looking to make a move on Frost, who started second in the heat, so a fast car who just isn't looking that fast back here in traffic.
Certainly is the case here, and that depends on how your car handles. I mean, we've seen some drivers struggle in traffic compared to those who aren't in traffic, and of course some drivers that are just better in clean air, as Art Schwartz has trouble. We see him right there on screen. He missed his apex and missed his entire braking zone, nearly stuffed it into the tire barrier.
Definitely is, and one to really keep your eye on there, as you don't want to get in trouble at this stage of race. It's a recovery race for all these drivers. Now, from either a self-inflicted injury or, let's just say the team effort on turn 1, lap 1 of our heat race tonight. Making that one a little bit more difficult to work with, but time not going to be too big a problem there. We're going to start seeing the leader coming up, though, who will be looking towards Kaufman and Roseman and Frost. Very short order here to make a pass, as Drew Kenny is coming up on them in no time at all. In fact, they're just the other side of our bus depot, as I think we decided to call it.
As we see here, but watching their through and keeping an eye on some of the other drivers making their way through the back half of the course of the fountains section. There you see Drew Kinney working his way through. Now as David Purdy gets real close to that tire barrier in the 8th position. He's trying to keep pace with Tom Crane, who's up the road about a second, but he's really put on a good show working his way up through the field.
Very much in this one. As coming through the field, we're seeing some good movement. Who's been moving so far? Stacey Iwata, 20th to 12th right now. Big movement for them. Scott Bowers, 22nd to 13th. Good climb for him as well, but big one is John Gibson. Started 4th in the heat. One of those cars taken out in that incident. 18th on the grid today. Up to 9th already, so halved his positions so far inside the top 10. So good movement and good recovery for John Gibson. Not what he would have wanted, but it's better than nothing.
Certainly is indeed here, and he's going to make some runs here as we see a couple of issues happening. I think David Purdy just received a black flag for an incident here a little bit ago, so a tough break here for some of our drivers as they are making their way through. David Purdy now coming down pit road.
Yeah, he is now. So it's nice to see those units moving down the road to get that service. We know it's fuel only. We're not seeing tyres, but at the same time, it's going to be important to get a good run here. And we know that the exits into the exit of turn 2, that's going to be problematic if we have traffic at the time they're coming off pit road.
It certainly is going to be problematic indeed here as we watch more drivers making their way down towards pit road as we have crossed over into the halfway point of tonight's race here for our drivers as we already see some drivers jockeying around. Todd Rosman trying to get around, I believe that's the 27 machine or the 7 machine actually of Stacy Iwata. They're going to go side by side down the front this stretch of road heading into that tight 90-degree turn, and Rosman moves up a spot.
Yeah, he's moving up a spot there. Will keep himself moving forwards throughout this whole thing. But big gap now ahead of him towards Bowers. It's going to be 3 seconds up the road there. One to keep an eye on and work for, but that's Frost in 16th place. Hopefully he's staying cool here as he works towards Jack Stevenson. Gets through on the 116, no problem at all there. Or gets side by side, I should say, as they come towards the bus stop here, turn 7 into turn 8. Oh, no, he wasn't staying cool there. Little hot under the collar, and race control will bring the heat. Too many temperature puns. Sorry.
It's time to cool it down a little bit there, I have to say, Rachel.
Chill out, huh?
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit. Drop it down a degree as we're on board with Andrew Smiley, the Connecticut Valley region driver, putting on a good run inside the top 5. He's about 1 second behind Edward Trippett in the 444 machine. As he is trying to make sure he can hold on to its position. Surprise for Trippett, he didn't have 3 threes. Make it a triple threat. Sorry, I couldn't help myself there.
No, absolutely fine. You almost expected, really. You got some great names to have fun with here. No offense to the drivers, we love you guys, but it can be fun sometimes. David Purdy, though, unfortunately, is no longer sitting Purdy because he just picked up a black flag for an incident at 16 minutes and 32 seconds from race control, so he'll have to cool his heels in pit road for a moment. As we are down to 17 minutes remaining, we are at that halfway point of tonight's race. We'll take a quick look rundown of your position. But first, we mentioned it a moment ago, or during the break, I should say, but don't forget, it's last 10th. Driving technique, car setup, and telemetry analysis. Just a few things you need to squeeze every last 10th out of your lap time. Join our very own physicist, Nicky Chan, who you may know from his P4 finish in last season's Pro class, as he explains all this and more with a scientific yet easily digestible series of videos at last10th.com. Watch today so you can enjoy squeezing every last 10th off your lap time and beat those personal bests. Last 10th. Better car, better driver. Looking at our rundown here, it's Drew Kenny leading away by 9.6 seconds over Michael Adams. Those two haven't changed position at all here, other than, unfortunately, Rosman going backwards. Randy Devolved in 3rd, with Edward Trippett in 4th. Andrew Smiley in 5th. Johan Nye in 6th. John Gibson in 7th. 8th is Jeff Flashway. Tom Crane 9th, and Jason Sherwood is in 10th. Behind them is David Purdy, Scott Bowers, Todd Roseman recovering there. Stacey Iwata, Mark Frost, Tim Schrock, Art Schwartz, Eric Kaufman, Ola Murphy, Kaufman, I should say, the first car lap down. Then we have Ola Murphy, Alex Lidback, Jack Stevenson, Andy McCune, Robert Benson, and our only retiree so far, DJ Sell. So back to the racing here, Taylor. Quiet day for Kenny and Adams. I mean, Kenny's got 9 seconds, but never mind that. Adams is, I'm pretty sure, 14 seconds clear of Randy Levold. It is very quiet at the front here.
Make it 16 seconds as it continues. Two are about to have a battle for the final step of the podium here. 10 laps to go, or 15 minutes left to go on the clock for your drivers as they continue to do battle. Remember, though, your top 9 still has to pit along with Stacey Iwata, Art Schwartz, and Tim Schrock.
Yeah, they certainly are, and they're trying to work their way upwards in the field here. Good grouping down here. We might see a bit of fighting if they have the opportunity, but They've been relatively static for the moment. Frost here is working his way towards Iwata. This will be one, I think, to watch in the coming laps here. They're building their way up at the moment, trying to get something done. We could see an improvement here. The onboard there from Frost's car, coming through 2. Got to be careful with this one because we've seen already passing is incredibly hard for these guys.
Certainly do have to see how it is going to work for them as we watch their way working over towards the back half of the course into the braking zone over at turn 1, as we see now Drew Kinney, your race leader, coming down pit road. That'll turn the race lead over to Michael Adams as we see pit stop cycles for your top podium drivers at the front of the field.
We certainly will there, and that's the 11 of Adams, who is currently leading because Kenny has hit pit road. Getting service there. Smiley's in as well. Kenny's back out though, and he's exiting there right into the outside of turn 2. Gets out in good clear traffic, so that's been a big one for him. He's got into clear air, relatively speaking. There's one car ahead, but after that it's a decently clear road for him, so we should have a good chance to build some speed here. Adams, I'm expecting he'll come down next time by.
He will certainly indeed come by next time by, I have to say, given the fact that these drivers are definitely going to be needing to come down pit road here very soon, as Drew Kinney will come out in 4th position after his pit stop. Johan Nye has come down pit road here as we watch and wait for Michael Adams. He's towards the fountain section, I believe. Yes, he is. So he is surely coming down pit road this time by, if not next time by.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he does for that one. We just heard Jack Stevenson has been black flagged for an incident at 22 minutes 45 seconds. Race control having him come down race to sit in the naughty box for a moment. Of course, these guys do have an incident limit, let's not forget.
They certainly do.
They do, and they have to be careful of that because it can auto DQ them. However, other than making physical contact with another car, your chance of an off track here is pretty slim to none.
Well, yeah, but the bad news is your incidence for contact against the outside wall or inside wall is going to go up by double, pretty much, instead of the off track. Very easy to hit the outside walls when you come off corner exit.
Yes, it certainly is, and you have to be very cautious with that to make sure you don't end up in big trouble. Just a couple of contacts will really have your day over in this race. Gibson's the leader at the moment, as we have seen a pit stop there for Michael Adams. No, I'm looking at the entry list. That's exactly the wrong place. He's currently leading still. Do ignore me, as we'll see if he comes down this time. He didn't go last time, which is a surprise, but he has really a good wide window in this race. We've got 12 minutes remaining on the clock here, so you can come in any time between now, I think, and the next 5 minutes.
They certainly do, so we'll see how that changes for some of our competitors as they get themselves ready to roll. And for Michael Adams, he is coming towards the pit entrance, so we'll see if he decides to come down pit road. He has plenty of room, though, 17 seconds, as Randy Lervold will move back to P4, as Drew Kinney has now big out around him for 3rd.
Yeah, he's coming down pit road here, so Trippett will pick up the lead of the race at the moment. Adams comes down for his service. Where will Trippett filter through? Coming through 13 now. Kenny there in 3rd. This is going to be interesting. Where will Drew Kenny pop out? I think he'll get clean past Adams. He's just pulled into his pit box now. Drew Kenny about to cross the line and will easily sail past Adams, who is just now leaving his box. So the gap should be relatively stable, I think, but we'll have to find out what that's going to be like once the numbers all settle down. And in comes Edward Trippett as well. Levold's in as well. Gibson's in as well. Lashway's not coming in. Smiley's not coming in. Sherwood is hitting pit road, as does Purdy. And Roseman's already pitted, let's not forget, so he's good to go here.
He certainly is, and of course, one thing to keep in mind, with Michael Adams just coming down pit road, he managed to stay in 2nd, but does lose a little bit of time now, or actually gains a little bit of time by about 3 seconds before, of course, Drew Kinney came down pit road, so he can maybe see what he can do here in this closing stages. 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, 10 minutes to go now, and it's the final moments here. We'll see what Drew Kenny could really do this by, and if he can hold on. he just needs to not have an incident himself, because he could throw this into the lap of Michael Adams very easily. 9 seconds is quite easy to lose from a spin on this kind of track, so you have to be very cautious. In fact, we're seeing a relatively safe drive here, from what I can see from Drew Kenny. He's not putting the pedal down the whole way. Well, he is obviously, but he's not giving it 100% here. This is looking like a 95% drive.
This is looking like a nice, strong 95% drive as he is trying to make his way through currently. Watching to see about what Jeff Lashway will do, or Stacy Iwata. They still have to come down pit road, but as your race leader will make his way across the start-finish line, we're going to pick up, and it looks like going to be Michael Adams who will work his way through, as that is going to be the 15 machine right next to Jeff Lashway. Will he come down pit road? No, he will stay out another lap.
Yeah, he will here. We'll see what he does with this, but Drew Kenny's gap is down, it appears to be, to 6 seconds over Michael Adams, so a bit of a difference in their stops there.
Certainly is the case here as we ride on board with John Gibson, the Rally Sport Region driver. He crosses under the bridge. He currently is sitting in 10th, trying to hunt down Johan Nye for the 9th position. As there you see them, the Potomac region versus Rally Sport region coming out of turn number 2, down the short chute over towards that 90-degree corner. You see right there, Gibson is close enough to maybe set up for a pass. He looks to the inside. A little bit of contact right there. I'm pretty sure officials will take a look at that as he almost clobbers that tire barrier.
Certainly does as they come through now. Adams definitely giving it a bit more gas, I think, at the moment than we'd expected from others, but looking back here, that's the 911 of John Gibson. Working his way forwards, cracked the top 10 here, has Gibson. Will be the second of the recovery drivers from our heat race, along with Bowers, to make it into the top 10 there, so a good recovery. 4th in the heat, started 18th today, up to 10th place now. Scott Bowers there is in 7th. He started 3rd, of course, in the heat. Started 22nd today. Is now up to 7th place. Got 4 seconds before he can reach Todd Roseman, who started 2nd, of course, in 1st in the heat grid. Finished 2nd in the heat. Started 2nd today, and is currently 6th. So huge recovery for him, considering he went right to the back here. And he could easily put himself into a podium spot here. He's not far away now. In fact, he's working on Trippett and Smiley here. He could put himself into 3rd spot quite comfortably. I don't think he's going to even see Adams, but we could see him hit 3rd.
We certainly can, as he makes a beautiful pass around Trippett as they now moves up to P4. A great strategy call possibly for Todd Rosman as he now tries to set his sights on Andrew Smiley as he is really picking up the pace, closing in very quickly. He was 2 seconds faster than Andrew Smiley, and he is really going to try to get into the podium before this is all said and done.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I think he needs to really feel this is a recovery drive today. He's in 4th already. He's made the move there on Trippett. Smiley will be next. He is not far away. Humongous comeback here from Rosman. I mean, this is a statement that he could have won this race, I think. He nearly won the heat. And he's saying right now, if it hadn't been for that spin, he'd have won this too. And it wasn't just the spin that cost him. Let's not forget, he basically had to wait for the entire field to pass to safely rejoin the field.
He certainly did, and a nice recovery he has been able to do with a little bit of strategy calls. He's now been able to find his way closing in on a podium finish here tonight as he will try to overcome Andrew Smiley as they come out of towards the final corner over towards turn number 1. 6 minutes left to go as now we'll see what Rosman can do to get around Smiley in these final minutes.
We certainly do. I think Rosman will make it pretty simple business once he gets up there, but he has to be careful. The Arizona region driver here looking at the inside of Smiley. It's going to be a fairly easy, just up the inside, clears him before the corner, turns in and done. Textbook.
And that's how you get it done here around Belle Isle, as we'll now watch him try to see what he can do in these closing minutes to see if he can go catch Michael Adams. He's got 23 seconds. Safe to say he will not be able to, but you never know. One mistake for Michael Adams could cost him that 2nd place. And actually, Adams is really closing in on Drew Kenny. He picked up 2 seconds because of the lap traffic.
Yeah, he did indeed, and that's a great spot for him there. Should give him an advantage, I think, in this case, but Adams there looking good here. 6 seconds by the board of Drew Kenny. Roseman, of course, now up to third place and has to try and hold this, but he's not completely clear. There's lap traffic ahead of him there, the 18 and the 7. And it's going to be Iwata and Murphy, who he navigates there in 12. As all round the back goes him. Murphy, I think that was, trying to make a move there on Iwata. But I believe they might be on... No, they're on the same lap, one lap down. Solidly put Rosman into third place. 29 seconds adrift from your leader, Drew Kenny, and it's only 5.2 now between Kenny and Adams. Kenny is running a safety race here, 130.1 for him last time by. Adams 129.3. So we're seeing an inverse in the timing, but again, Drew Kenny just wants to finish this thing. We have 4 minutes 30 remaining, and it's just about coming to the line here. John Gibson up to 8th place from 18th here. And Mark Frost. So all three of our guys who lost out in the heat race, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on the grid, being Mark Frost, John Gibson, and Scott Bowers, all now back within the top 10. So it's been a massive redemption drive for everybody, really, in this one. In fact, those that have had big incidents in this race, they've all recovered incredibly well.
They certainly have recovered as we were right on board with Scott Bowers in the 6th position. The Northeast driver really having a great recovery from wrecking out in heat race 1 and now to recovering here to a 6th place finishing position. And he's not done yet. He's going to see what he can do if he can close in on a top 5 as Edward Trippett and Andrew Smiley are just up the road.
It very much is there, as Smiley is going to be well within touching distance for those guys, I think. We'll see what will happen in these last moments. But it's only 2 seconds for the likes of Bowers. He could do this. He is in that grouping. So we could see that move before too long. Trippett right ahead of him there. And just ahead Smiley, so we could see him hit 4th place. Looks to the inside for the final corner. Will not be able to take it just yet. He's looking for every opening as he looks to the inside in 1. No, again, a little optimistic there, too far back.
Yeah, a little bit too far back here, but he does have enough time to try to set something up here as we watch.
Sorry, Taylor. It's not going to matter. Smiley has a black flag to serve. Incident at 36.27. So Smiley's got to get out of this anyway. So there's almost no point fighting him. If I'm Smiley, I just let him go.
Might as well do that here in order to get down pit road as quick as possible in order to try to serve that penalty, try and stop the bleeding. He has about an 8-second advantage over John Gibson, so he can maybe try to hold on for a top 10 if he comes down pit road as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Get this thing dealt with and move onwards. As Bowers looking to put himself in the top 5 here. By the end of this race, got back up to 5.4 for Kenny and Adams, so Kenny's poor lap has been improved. Gain of 0.2 there, but not huge. He's still running a safety race. This is 13th Eric Kaufman. Looking up towards Jeff Lashway ahead of him there. Could he catch Lashway by the end of this? More than possible. I think we've got, 2 laps in the books for us right now, Taylor?
I would have to say at least 2 laps to go for your race leader, Drew Kenny. So this could be a good opportunity for a couple of drivers to see what they can do, if they can gain some positions. But of course, for drivers such as Smiley, he is going to be running out of opportunities to get down pit road quickly as we watch Drew Kenny work his way through as Smiley finally comes down pit road to serve his penalty.
He very much is, as he'll come down there and deal with that. Which moves Bowers into 5th place, but he has to deal with Trippett still, who is right in his crosshairs here. What can he do with this one? Roseman, by the way, has just pulled back 5 seconds. That is quite crazy. Just 25 seconds adrift from your leader. He's not going to catch the other 2. Oh, big slowdown for Kenny. The traffic hurt him. He's down to 4.9 seconds to Adams now. Going to be careful, though.
Well, we do got to be careful indeed here in these closing minutes as we see our race leader, Drew Kenny, getting around more lap traffic in these closing minutes, as they makes the run towards the back half of the course here and sets themselves up as we should be seeing the white flag this time by.
Yeah, we certainly will there. This time by white flag will go to Drew Kenny as he crosses the line there. One more time around, Belle Isle for Drew Kenny. And he will seal this victory after a monumentally busy 40 minutes here. Incredibly exciting racing we've had tonight. Lots of action and lots of incidents too. But I think it's the track that will really tame the drivers in this case, and it has done just that. A really, really good drive and a masterclass in keeping it clean from Kenny.
It is a masterclass drive by Drew Kenny here. He knows a thing or two about getting around the circuit. He wins heat race. He is looking to possibly take home the checker flag here for your feature and get some much valuable points in the championship.
Yeah, he certainly is, and we'll see him do exactly that, which will help, of course, in the long run. Especially once we get into more open races where the difficulty level's notched down a little bit, more room, more space to actually run here without this being an absolute test of these drivers. But just a couple of corners left now for Kenny. Bowers still hasn't cleared Trippett though. That's an interesting point here. Right behind him, there's lap traffic ahead though, which could be a pick here. This will be one to keep an eye on, as Kenny is coming up towards the end of this lap. So time is really running out here if Bowers wants to take fourth.
Certainly
Through the
is.
final corner. And just a little kink now before they come out. At 14, Drew Kenny wins at Belle Isle. Quickly switch to Bowers and co. They've got half a lap remaining here. Can he make this move on Trippett as Adams will cross the line? Rosman will cross the line after an epic recovery drive from him. Scott Bowers not going to be close enough yet, I don't think. He's not got time here to make a move in this one.
He certainly is.
So close, but so far. For Scott Bowers, I don't think he can do it. Not enough time.
He might be able to as he tries to get a good run out of this straightaway here, but it's not going to work.
Nowhere close enough, unfortunately. Could not get the advantage. Edward Trippett hangs on for fourth place there. Scott Bowers will finish in fifth. Well, folks, we'll be back with you in just a second with your post-race results and your interviews. Don't go anywhere.
Brake a little earlier if that's going to be the case. He's actually got a nose ahead as they come down into the braking zone. He's going to do it the hard way.
Welcome back to the post-race coverage here at the PCA Sim Racing Series 9 event from the Challenge Series at Belle Isle. Your post-race results: Drew Kenny takes the win tonight with Michael Adams in second, Todd Roseman with a massive recovery in third, Edward Trippett in fourth, Scott Bowers recovering to fifth, John Gibson recovers to sixth place with Randy Levold in seventh, Mark Frost recovering to eighth, Andrew Smiley in ninth with Johan Knight in 10th. 11th place tonight will be Tom Crane with Jeff Lashway in 12th.
13th will be Eric Kaufman, the last car on the lead lap, followed by David Purdy in 14th, Stacy Owada in 15th, 16th Art Schwartz with Tim Sharrock 17th, 18th Olin Murphy, 19th Alex Lidback. Those are all one lap down, with Jack Stevenson 2 laps down in 20th. 21st is Jason Sherwood, Andrew McCune, and Robert Benton are 4 laps down in 22nd and 23rd, and DJ Sell did not start.
Well, that is our results here tonight, and with little ado, it's time for the interviews. We have Drew Kenny standing by for us right now. Drew, busy race for you tonight.
Okay.
6th on the grid in the heat. Let's talk about the heat race first. Just what was that start like? Drew, do we have a copy?
I can't hear anything.
Do you hear me now? Having a few audio issues with Drew. We'll try and get that sorted out if we can. Drew, do we have you?
Hello?
Hello, Drew. Technical difficulties with Drew. We will have...
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Do we have you?
Yeah, hey, how are you?
Hi, Drew. Drew Kenny. Congratulations tonight, but I'd like to first talk about your start in the heat. 6th place to very quickly not 6th place. What happened there?
Got the jump at the start, sent it 3 wide. And people in front of me crashed, used the outside T1 pulled it inside T2, used the camber, got the run, and then got on the brakes better than, I guess, Rosman.
Yeah, it certainly seemed that way, and a very tight run between yourself and Rosman to the end there of the heat, and then first in the feature here. Seemed like a cakewalk.
It was difficult. Heat 1 was actually hard. I had to take a rest after just because. But then once Rosman spun, and then I saw the gap between Adams around 6 to 10 seconds, I was kind of just taking it easy. So it was nice. It was nice, but definitely difficult.
It seemed that way. Just how was it handling the car around this sort of track?
Car does well, actually. The rear does nicely on the bumps, to be honest. He kind of slingshots you in certain corners. I enjoy the car. I thought it was fine here. Enjoyed the track.
Wonderful. Anybody got to give a shout out to or thank?
So Meg, my wife, watching right now. Also, my parents as well, watching too.
Awesome. Congratulations for the win today, Drew. And hopefully good results for next time.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Wonderful. And Mike Adams is standing by with Taylor Burris.
Here with Mike Adams coming home in second place. Mike, a great stellar drive. Yeah, give a little bit of a thumbs up right there here as we have you on camera. And Mike, talk to us a little bit about the difficulties around this circuit. I mean, you had a couple of close calls and, of course, also some great strategy to be able to stay inside the top three.
Yeah, it was definitely a grueling race. I mean, this track, you cannot lose focus. You have to be 100% the whole time. That's really what my goal was take about a half second out of my laps and just have good pace, be there at the end. Try to push a little bit towards the end, but tap the wall a little bit, bent my wing, so hurt my top speed.
Talk to us a little bit about some of the action we'll probably see through the rest of the season for you. I mean, this good run's got to give you a little bit of momentum to get ready for possibly a run in this championship.
Yeah, third P2 in a row. So I know Will Power won the championship this year with, I think, maybe a single win. And I kind of feel like I'm on the same pace right now, just chasing podiums every single week, trying to keep a pretty good routine with my team, Matrix, and just kind of keep after it. I think we got a good shot at winning this thing.
Well, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to say thank you to?
Yeah, like I said, Matrix is the number one there. The team always is cheering us on and working together to just try to get better. We've got an endurance race coming up this weekend, so that's going to help out too. And also my family, my kids always love to watch these broadcasts, and they go back and check them all out. So thanks for tuning in, and everybody else that enjoyed the friendly face cam. I know we haven't had too many here in Challenge. I decided to turn it on and have some fun. Thank you all for the broadcast.
Of course, that is Mike Adams coming home in P2 as Todd Rosman, who definitely receives the Heart Charger Award, is now going to be joining with Rachel Whiteford.
Todd, gotta say, the heat race was hectic. Of course, he went from first there to finishing a very close second. And then second in the feature, you had a self-spin there in turn 5, pushing pretty hard. Gotta say, that was an amazing recovery drive to third. Todd, I don't think some technical difficulties tonight for sure, folks. Todd, we can't hear you. You're lighting up, but we don't actually see you or hear you.
Just
Hey, we got you now. Todd, did you hear what I said?
yeah, I did. You got me now?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, yeah, it was a little crazy. Yeah, this track can eat you up pretty quick. I try to be a gentleman driver and not get any points, so I'm not one on the first lap to just toss it in there. And the car in front of me was a little unpredictable, so it was safer for me and easier for me to drive back up from, I think it was in the 20s, and get through with my speed, but.
Well, it certainly seemed to work, though. You managed to recover to a massive third place there. A podium result has to feel good after a tumultuous race.
Yes, it does. I mean, it's a fun race, and you can't say enough about the Porsche and Pirellis underneath it. It definitely is fun on this track.
Certainly seems that way. Anybody like to give a shout out to or thank for this?
Yeah, a couple of people now are starting to watch me on this. I got to thank my wife for putting up with it, not giving me too much guilt trip for doing this. I know my mom's watching, and I think some of my students might be. So big shout out to them. Definitely our sponsors, Pirelli, PCA, definitely for putting this on. Sim Six Sigma, I think I got that right.
Six Sigma Sim Racing. It's a bit of a
There-
mouthful, but it's a
yeah.
great brand.
There you go. Absolutely. That's it. This is just a great series. PCA does a wonderful, wonderful job. And so do you guys. I love coming back and listening to your broadcasts. They're awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Todd, and hopefully a great result next time. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Well, folks, we will see you back here for the club class at 9:25 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, November 16th, live here on Podium Esports. We'd like to thank the PCA Sim Racing title sponsors for Series 9, Pirelli, and Six Sigma Sim Racing, as well as a huge thank you to LastTenth.com, Better Car, Better Driver. A big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, Taylor, Ryan, and Dougie. Also, none of this would be possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing. I'm Richard Whiteford, and I'll see you on the track.